This certifiable cultural icon opened right at the dawn of the 1980s, 1980. It was 3 stories tall and had about 1 million square feet of space with a really imposing, if you've seen old pictures of how it looked, it was a really unwelcoming exterior. Really? It was just like white stone. And of course,
it had like a moat with a dragon. A bunch of like heads on sticks. Families are welcome.
Sepulveda Boulevard just used to be bloody spikes. Of course, even then they had really bad parking.
Yeah.
In its prime, it had every type of store you think of when you think of malls from the 80s. It had licorice pizza. It had an arcade. It had a Pacific Theater. It had real pizza. And the reason this place had every type of store you'd be familiar with is for the reason this mall is remembered by history, which is because those classic 80s mall tropes are from the Sherman Oaks Galleria. Mall culture, as we know it, stems from Sepulveda and Ventura Boulevard, the Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Because what movies were, it was...
I'll be getting into it. I'll be getting...
Right.
Everybody, pretend you didn't hear that.
Yeah, pretend you heard those 4 words right there.
Just like you hearing that is like when you see the comet in Night of the Comet. The teenage cultural scene that coalesced here in the 80s as a result of the kind of richer kids living in this part of the valley.
Yeah, valley kids. Scumbags.
Rich valley kids.
All of them.
All of these kids kind of came to the Sherman Oaks Galleria, and that made that sort of the recognized ground zero of the Valley Girl.
Sure.
So it came from here. A status solidified when it was mentioned in the Frank Zappa song, Valley Girl. They say the Sherman Oaks Galleria. Then even more so when it became the go-to filming location for quintessential mall movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Night of the Comet. Now you can listen to it. It's safe now. Chopping Mall. And my favorite mall movie, Commando. But really, Fast Times at Ridgemont High was kind of like, I mean, it was already a thing, but just that image became that's the mall that the Starcourt Mall in Stranger Things is based on.
Right, yeah.
Its influence was so big that the LA Times once said that both Sean Penn and Nicolas Cage owe their careers to the Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Christ.
Even though Valley Girl, the movie, was actually filmed at the Del Amo Mall, but the movie itself owes itself to the Galleria.
Sure.
The heyday of this place was actually pretty brief, and its downfall can be traced to starting as early as 1992.
Wow.
So that was the year Robinson's and the May Company merged to become Robinson's May.
Yeah.
What food court do they have in there? Again, what was their food court called?
They just served as Red Robinson May.
Robinson's May I Have Some More? And then the name goes on more.
More?
It was more of a
It's like
soup
dialogue
kitchen.
as a title, yeah.
It's
a soup kitchen.
So the problem for the Galleria with this was that Robinson's, their downfall is really pretty interesting. I love hearing the downfall of major, who'd have thought Rome could ever fall. So the problem was that Robinson's had been the main attraction on the south end of the mall, and the May Company had been the anchor store on the north end of the mall. So now the 2 stores combined to Robinson's May. So Robinson's May Men's and Home was on the north of the mall, and Titanic Rules Women and Children was on the south.
Sure.
This meant that there was now only one department store in the whole mall, and that was kind of boring. And then the earthquake hit.
Oh, no.
1994 Northridge earthquake. It actually didn't damage the mall that bad. Most places were reopened just 11 days later, but for some reason, Robinson's May dragged their feet and didn't fully reopen their 2 stores for 4 years.
Whoa.
So now the only department store in the mall that people weren't even excited to begin with about wasn't even open.
Yeah. I can't even drag my family there.
Where am I going to get my Jordache now? Glendale? Where the hell's that? This is the Valley.
I don't have a passport.
In that zip code? So this caused less foot traffic into the mall, which meant less customers to the smaller stores, which caused the smaller stores to slowly get out of business, which led to even less foot traffic and even worse business overall.
Right.
So by 1997, the mall was only at 40% capacity of their stores. So the owners wanted out quick. So they sold the mall for $51 million to the Douglas Emmett Company, who had plans to pump $200 million into it to revamp it. And this meant kicking out all the businesses still in there, but they wanted to squeeze a little more out of the situation by suing Robinson's May for having been closed for so long.
How dare you suck.
And dragging the entire mall down with it. And then they sued the Northridge earthquake. And you better have a good lawyer. Well, they went with Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice to sue the Northridge earthquake. So Robinson's May countersued, saying their mall sucked anyway, and they had to force them
Your Honor.
Your Honor, may I speak candidly? But this mall can suck it.
Sustained.
I'll allow it, but watch yourself. And watch this. And they start breakdancing.
Yeah, he starts floss dancing. Yeah.
way ahead of his time. So they sued, saying that they forced them to pump more money into reopening their 2 stores, only to have them now close everything.
Oh my God.
So this battle for the ages was eventually settled in 1999. And on April Fool's Day of that year, Robinson's May finally left and the Sherman Oaks Galleria was dead.
Wow. Stake in the heart dead on April Fool's Day.
I know. But it's coming back April 2nd, right? And everyone's like waiting to go in, right? This will be
my
really
daughter's birthday.
The new plan here was to turn it into what they called a lifestyle center. It was going
like
to be
gym?
It was going to be the cultural hub. It was more of a cult. It was a Scientology building.
The arrogance sometimes are like, this is going to be a cultural center.
This is going to be a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. This is a mall that's going to go viral.
Like in Chopping Mall. It was going to be the cultural hub of the valley and be open 24 hours.
Oh my God.
It would be more accessible and people were going to love it. What ended up happening was they demolished the entire building and built what they have here today. The modern Sherman Oaks Galleria opened in 2002 and is pretty small, mostly outdoor mall with only 30% of it being retail, and it's mostly just offices.
Yeah, and it's also next to the craziest freeway you've ever seen.
Yeah, well, that's the best part. That a car can come flying into the movie theater at any second.
Yeah.
Wow, this 4D is great. Oh no, my legs.
Oh no, that's not part of the 3D.
Warner Brothers Animation was actually there for a while.
Wow, really?
So maybe your sister-in-law could work there. If it's 9/11.
Next American Catastrophe.
Yeah, she could. Can I report? Can I still pick up a paycheck? So the thing is, it seems like they pretty much built what they intended to. The problem was that it sucks
and they're stupid.
And people didn't.
What sci-fi writer did you go to? Asimov? Coons? Who'd you go to for this mall?
We got all of our ideas from Philip K. Dick. He wrote it on the wall in his own excrement. People are going to love this. It's going to have one store and a movie theater you have to walk 40 minutes to get to. And if you spray this spray on the wall, you'll see the true nature of humanity.
But also, you're the mall?
And when you go in, you do have to take the Voight-Kampff test. So people just didn't really care that it was opening it. Like the local businesses surrounding the place were afraid that it would draw away business in the immediate area.
Yeah.
And if you look at what's immediately around it, it kind of did. Like it's kind of a wasteland.
I love spending my money at the 405. Yeah, it is a wasteland because everything else is on the block you could walk to, but going to the mall.
It's
kind of a drag.
I realized why this place sucks. It has, you can picture it, right? Picture this.
Mm-hmm.
It has that grand main entrance on Ventura and Sepulveda, where it's like a fountain and these steps. But the problem is nobody enters from Ventura and Sepulveda. That's one of the busiest intersections in the valley. And there's maybe a bus that lets you off somewhere near there.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's no major public transportation stop and everyone drives there anyway. And the parking lot is on the opposite end of a long ass wind tunnel that you have to walk through to get to the stores, of which there aren't any.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing there. There's a DSW and I guess a Regal that's about to close.
What's the restaurant that's there that
El Torito or Cheesecake Factory?
It's Cheesecake
and
Factory.
And then like a like a furniture store that's constantly out of business or going out of business.
I don't know how furniture stores stay in business, but yeah.
And at Buffalo Wild Wings and P.F. Chang. Oh, I forgot. I love this place. Yeah. There's like nothing like it there. That's not where people are entering.
It's not worth the effort of getting into it.
It's so hard to get in there. Like if I dread the day I need to buy new shoes because I have to walk so far to get to DSW and then pray that my validation still holds by the time I get back to my car.
After trying on over 400 shoes at DSW, the fine selection at DSW. The side you're talking about with the fountain, it is the way you'd want a mall to look in the entrance. And you're right. When you go on the opposite end to park your car, it's so desolate. Like it's just like the wall of the freeway. So it's an alley and it's a windy. Yeah.
But I mean, maybe if the light rail gets built, it'll give the Sherman Oaks Galleria a second golden age. But by that point, the only thing people will be shopping here for is anti-sentient AI weaponry, which is totally not bodacious. Yeah, it's just kind of what a misunderstanding of like how people would be using this mall. It's really unfortunate. I wish it was a cool mall.
Yeah.
I wish it was our Galleria, Glendale Galleria.
Thank you. And thank you. And thank you for
thank you for recognizing.
Yeah, thank you for your service.